Okay, good morning and welcome to Mo Knows featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. I'm so mad that I can't get my intro song on the Zoom as of yet. I haven't figured out how to master that. Let me come over here to this one. Okay. Let me see how long that delay is. All right, it's not so bad today. All right. I always hate when I can't figure out which way to do something. All right. Because it's the opposite of impact. Let me just give myself some morning love. Go, Momo. Let me see. I want this one. Da, 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 da. Hey, underrated. Did you heard did you heard me yesterday? I wasn't sure. Because so many things were going on. So good morning. Good morning, sir. All right. Oh, there we go. I just love to see them all just moving around. I'm gonna have to give me a Momo one. I'm gonna get me a thing. Little bit, sister. I was talking about the next. I said, let me know when I could pull up so we can have a conversation about them. And then there was change of, well, some of the things I wanted to discuss with you already had happened. But I still want to take a take on it, get your take on it and see what that's, you know, hear a different approach if there is really a different approach. Yeah. So let's aim for the weekend. Um, I got something to do on Saturday, early morning. I'm up here managing my peace, if that's even possible to do in this atmosphere. Okay. So let's go. All right. This morning, it's like it just never ceased to amaze me that I need to opine or reflect on something that occurred. We'll do it over there on yours. I have a problem with that. What you you use I know you use a different system to stream. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. When I say you use a different system to stream, you're not on. Don't put it inside the chat because these people are looking for freebies. It would have to be, I have to do something at 12. I think it'll be till 1. I get back home about 2. Have to be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or thereafter. Um, so you let me know. All right, look at me making bookings on a live because I only, have 9 people. I have such a small community. Sometimes it be things that people say on here that they intend for it to be hurtful. And it's not really hurtful as is amazing. It's amazing how much folks want you to be disheveled. M- Make this go viral. How you doing, young lady? How's everything going in your world? Looking good over there, looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Managing my energy, just managing my energy. Let me talk about some things that I like before I get into some things I don't like. Ooh, ooh, and ooh, everything's upside down. 'Cause. 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 Yeah, man. I catch a lot of stuff in replay, especially in your world. But no, I catch it. I should. The reason why I don't really like share you on my platform is only because I don't want to send that energy over your way. When you see people doing such, when you see people doing amazing things, but I appreciate that you come in here, and that's the only reason why I don't fellowship openly is because I just don't want to send that mojo anybody else's way. But I was yesterday, I asked somebody to come up here so we could discuss the um 567. Oh, that we can discuss the Diddy case as to what happened yesterday with the testimony that went on yesterday. I'm so honored to hear you support me and I get it on a share. Girl, boy. Yeah, you know how that works around here. Um, I found that to be the most damaging day um in testimony that I've heard so far. And the thing that makes it most damaging, in my view, is the commingling of the funds. So it was good to see that the organization hired themselves a professional or dedicated accountant who was working the money. Um, Believe it or not, the reports I got from the people on the ground, the regular lay people that are in the courtroom reporting out, or what I heard thus far, um, didn't focus on the fact of how important the racketeering elements of the case of the charges and being convicted of racketeering, how important that is. In order to meet that threshold, let me not use that language, to meet that threshold. In order for them to prevail in their case, they have to prove that the funds, or that the whatever the illegal activity was of the group, which we now know is the Combs Enterprise, that the money that they used the money, but it's normally in the reverse. So hear me out. The enterprise, which we can consider to be a gang, right? The enterprise normally makes the money and funnels it through the legal organization, like washes. This is where you get the language money laundering, and they pull the money through the legitimate business, the legal business. That's why in this indictment they specify that this is the legal that the Combs Enterprise is not an entity, not a legal entity, but the Bad Boy Entertainment, or whichever one is is his business, is that is the part that's part of the RICO, or is the racketeering element of it. So the last time I was here, I was trying to explain how important it will be for them to prove that the money came from the business that funded the activities that he was engaged in his personal life. But I believe that he gets paid from the organization and then he runs this personal life that he has. So I'll give a good example. If I work for Bank of America and you get a paycheck for Bank of America, and then you engage in an illegal activity or crime, do you sue Bank of America because of, or do you say the entity Bank of America is responsible for funding me that did the activity? You have to connect them all in the same and show that they're working in concert with each other. And in this case, because he owns that business, they're connecting the business to what he does in his personal life opposed to what he does in his professional life and mixing them two together, how he makes his money and feeds himself or feeds this activity that he engages in is very interesting to say the least. But mind joggling for those who are always saying I'm self-employed, I'm an entrepreneur, I own my own business. You have to really make sure that when you own your own business that you are separating your personal from your business and you have clear lines in that. And I think that's where this case on the racketeering part really gets boggled. So I'm not surprised that he could have $100,000 sitting around in his home. I'm not surprised by that. Did he get the money out of the organization to make that payment? Um, these people kills me because I'm listening to folks explain why the videotape is important because it's a cover up. And I keep asking myself, what is it a cover up for? Is it a cover up for the business or is it a cover up because of his celebrity? This is a infamous, he's a famous person at that point in his life, and he doesn't want his career ruined for what's going on in his personal life, like it's being ruined now. So because of that, he is, I'm having my own difficulties differentiating between what people engage in their personal life when they are celebrity is considered a criminal act where people who are not celebrities may engage in the same acts in their personal life. Would it be considered a crime? I don't know. I don't know if the hotel had an obligation. And again, all of these crimes related to that hotel incident, I believe, have exceeded the time frame to be prosecuted on it. But if they are being put together to establish a more recent crime that has the same baseline, means similarities in what occurred in Cassie's story happened to other people later on down the road. Let's say like in 2020 through 2025, this may be the lead up to those type of allegations. And some you want to establish just in case you're missing some key components. Like maybe a person didn't stick around for as many years as Cassie did to experience the full force of this. But we don't know. I don't know yet. That's what I'm suspecting. It's probably probably the case that there's somebody out there who's more current that they'll bring forth later in the trial with the similarities of a Cassie. Maybe it's going to be an ex girlfriend or something like that that ties it in, and then they establish a history there. Um, yeah, that's all I could think of at this moment. Um, as it relates to that, mm, and that's it. Back to my personal endeavors here on a YouTube channel. So that's what I'll be watching and seeing. Um, where am I at? Uh, I'm very, very, I'm in my moments right now with everything going on, and listening to different folks and processing this information. Let me just spend a few minutes speaking on process, right? How a crime can be committed, or you believe a crime is committed, and you go to the authorities for the authorities to help you, and the roadblocks that you encounter along the way. Once upon a crime, Mo sat on this internet, and I heard a story from another content creator at the time, or another channel holder at the time. And I listened to folks tell that individual, you don't have a case. You gave up, you willingly gave up that money. You don't have a case. And I felt differently. And I said I would help. And I went to help. I went to aid and assist. And when we got down there to file the police report, one which was taken at that time, one that wasn't taken before that time, I was able to talk to law enforcement. Law enforcement basically, we're not dealing with this from the perspective that you see it. We're dealing with this from this perspective. And they gave us a rundown of what they would do and what they wouldn't do. And in this space of YouTube, or in the social space, people wanted more to be done where there was limited ability to do anything. And because of that, you have folks upset and bothered, thinking that a person wasn't acting, a person wasn't following through. There's a process. So I just want to point out a few things about non consensual, intimate activities with folks. A couple weeks ago, it's probably been a couple months ago. Earlier in this year, I did a video, and the video focused on rape culture. And I read a article out of a I read an article about rape culture and the things that happen in that environment. The fact that people don't believe the person that had the crime committed. The most important element of that article was the fact about gaining consent and being an active participant in the sexual activity in the first place. And That is every step of the way. So the first step is gaining the consent or having an agreement with somebody that they could just have sex with you, period. Right? You need to be awake. You need to be an active participant each time the other party decides to have sex with you. That's number one. If you see a video and someone releases a video and you only get 27 seconds of a video, that could be longer, so that you could establish a different opinion if you were able to see the story in its entirety, right? For completeness. But when you take something out of context and you only give people 27 seconds of a sexual act and the other participant visibly is innate and not actively participating, the world is going to see that as a non consensual act. Where did it take place at? Who's the people inside the environment? Who's the act being pushed upon? What's the narrative that you're hearing behind that? Law enforcement would look at that 27 seconds and they would come up with so many questions, because you and I know the participants. They have to look at it from a perspective of, who are these participants? What is this actually showing me? So the context around it becomes more important. How the video surfaced. Before you can get to how the video surfaced, you need to hit another marker. And it is, was there consent to record the video? So let me be very clear. We covered consent to have the sex in the first place. Was there consent? That if it wasn't, there may be a criminal act there. The second component is the consent to record. Was there consent to record that 27 seconds or more? This is why the whole context, you need the whole thing for completeness. If it only exists 27 seconds, that's going to be a hard one to, that's a hard pill to swallow, because all I got is the 27 seconds. Did you get consent? If you don't have consent and then you go ahead and you release the video that everyone saw, you got the third element, which is um, disseminating intimate partner videos. I think they say intimate images. So it could be a video, it could be a picture, but the bottom line is you disseminated it with malicious intent affixed to it. What was the purpose of doing it? Was it to intimidate or harass the persons depicted in the picture? Remember, or yeah, in the persons depicted in the picture. Remember, the releaser doesn't necessarily had to been the persons that were engaging in the activity. It could be a third party that released it. And what was their purpose of releasing that material? Coupled with the conversation or the video around how the video got released. So when I look at a situation, I see three different crimes that could potentially be charged based on jurisdiction. And that's all that there is. So when you hear folks up in arms about this matter, if you know, you know, it's because there could be some serious issues related to it. I don't, unlike other channels here who have proclaimed to know the status of things and where things are, I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend like I know. I've intentionally kept myself away from the 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 details because I feel like, and this is my personal, if whatever happens doesn't materialize, I'm gonna need to be that friend that books a flight and holds my sister down. Does that make sense to some people? Because it makes sense to me. Many of you don't understand the pain behind the scenes and what somebody might be going through as a negotiate, not navigate, but negotiate with themselves as to how they found themselves in this situation. I prefer to be that friend that's helping that's assisting with negotiating the relationships and how we got here, opposed to being that friend that's navigating the noise between a social space. I know how treacherous this could get. I understand how unforgiving and unwavering folks are on here when they are convinced that they have a right to know something about you. That's extremely unfortunate that we've met this caliber of person in our life. That's just the bottom line. It's when you don't know, when you first meet somebody and you don't know what a terrible road or a terrible path you're on just because you've engaged with those people. I can't. I can't get people to see things from my perspective on any of this stuff. And I have long term given up. So when you see me very quiet, and it's just because I've had enough and some things don't need to be spoken. I cannot walk into somebody else's community as I have and as I will, as my name is destroyed around here. I definitely may sh- show up, show out, but it will never be at my own detriment. I will never put myself in a position where I'm on somebody else's platform to be dogged out by that platform owner. I may have questions because I have some places I do want to pull up and ask some questions. I just haven't engaged as of yet, but there are some things that need answers to. But just because I want an answer to something doesn't mean that the timing is appropriate. Yesterday, I went on a platform because I believe the timing was appropriate for what I had heard. Period. Not to be in furtherance of their discussion, but to really focus on what I heard and making sure what I heard aligns with what I was believing or what I thought. So yes, I walked in. Yes, I had a question, and I was appreciative for whatever response I could get because it provided me hashtag background. I ain't searching through all these platforms to find the answer. Somebody addressed me, and that person's Anaya. I call her Anaya the liar, right? I'm gonna need to understand what they addressed me on. I just want to know. So if anybody has the video to what I was addressed about, could you please what I can either respond to it or get a better understanding of what I was addressed on. I like to know because it's just good information for me to be able to hear what it is. I don't want to hear nobody's account of something today, June 4th, or even June 3rd. We know it took place before those dates. So I would just like to know what I was being addressed on so that if it requires a response, I'm able to adequately supply one. I'm not a big bad bully up here. I ain't afraid to talk to anybody or anything. I'm not going to be throwing out uh, haphazard threats to folks. I'm just going to be the threat. But I'm not going to sit up here and just be like, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do that. Life is too short for that. Some of you people are going to find yourself in serious medical issues because you're overexcited about something that shouldn't matter that much. Again, if whatever I was addressed on warrants an appropriate response, you will definitely get it. Um, I see things totally different than how I see other people see things around here. There's a woman's code. Some of y'all have never even heard about it or you're confused about it. But nevertheless, it's an issue out here. I'm gonna stand on my twos and fuse as much as possible. Um, there's a long road ahead for every situation. I haven't even touched on things about I'm not gonna touch on it, but I gave you guys a breakdown basically of the video as I saw it and the things that I believe could come from it in terms of charges, but it all depends on how law enforcement sees it. And there are complications in that. But I gave you the best case scenario. And oh, I meant to tell people this all three crimes, all three criminal activities, criminal acts, um, un, what did I call it? Non consensual sex, non consensual recording of the sex act, and the distribution of intimate images could all are misdemeanors. Collectively, they may amount to at best 3 years. We're talking about misdemeanors in a situation that is a major infraction to a woman, a major violation to a woman, only being misdemeanors. This is when I get on my high horse and talk about how legislation needs to be modified to support the activities. When people think about these level crimes, this non-consensual, this this non-consensual sex, the non-consensual recording of it, and the dissemination, we're really thinking about young folks engage in this kind of activity and you don't want to ruin their life because of an impulsive mistake. But imagine when you're thinking about middle-aged males and females engaging in this type of behavior because they lack self-control. That's why there needs to be more time associated or affiliated with those types of crimes: non consensual sex, non consensual recording of the sex act, and the dissemination. Needs to be more than misdemeanors. Anyway, when people ask me why my name, why I picked Mo Justice, and why I ran with it, I'll tell you why I picked it another day. But I tell you why I stuck with the Mo Justice part is because we need Mo Justice out here. And those are the topics that I wanted to talk about on my platform. Not that I had a solution to it, because I know what the solution is. It's changing the laws. It's being in position to make those changes rather than just standing on platforms and shouting rhetoric and never making any moves. You know, I try to always put myself in a position in my community where I'm making a difference. Here in the YouTube space, this small knit community that I have, I believe I make a difference when folks come through here and they have respect for me and what I stand for, and I have the mutual respect for them. If I give you any takeaways from today, treat people how you want to be treated and check on those that you haven't checked on in a minute to see how they're doing. Good morning, April. Um, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll go more in depth tomorrow on um, the Sean John Combs trial. We all want to change behaviors around here. Um, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm finding that kind of difficult these days. I think when you are dealing with people who have behaved like this for 40 plus years, it's going to be extremely challenging to change who they are. You got to start with the young so that they don't become nothing like these elders. Anyway, this is Mo. I've got to go. Of course, that's my opinion, but enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.